Ladies and gentlemen, turn your speakers up. It's time for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Turn up the bass. A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE. Oh yeah! Let's meet the hosts. First, a man hailing from the Hub City in Indiana. He goes by @TooSweetKyle on Twitter. The host, Kyle Gagliardi. And your co-host, hailing from the Valley of Lake Tahoe. He goes by @JimTuck89 on Twitter. Jim Tucker. And last but not least, hailing from the cornfield somewhere in Indiana, the full-time part-timer, Ian Garavelia. Turn up the bass. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram @PodOnTheMark.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi. And my co-host this evening is my good friend, Ian Garavelia. Ian, what's up, dog?
What's up, dog? It's another Thursday, another recording of the OTM podcast, the best podcast in the region. I could say that because there's not a lot of wrestling podcasts around us, so I could say that pretty confidently. I'm feeling good. It's a Thursday.
I was going to say, not just the best wrestling podcast in the region, the best podcast in the region. Now that Family Divided is dead, we could say.
Correct. Yeah, there's not a lot around here, so we'll take the crown where we can get it. But yeah, I'm feeling good. Another Thursday recording, so that means Friday's just around the corner. That means the weekend's just around the corner, and that means another week of work is around the corner.
God, welcome to the real world. You got my mindset, which is not always a good thing, but glad to hear that you're doing well. We do have a lot to talk about this evening here on episode 191, so shout out to those that are tuning in live. Don't forget, we are live every single week at this time, usually 7 p.m. Central, so if you're listening to this back, later date, there's your information right there. And don't forget to check out all the merch we have at the On The Mark Wrestling Podcast.com. Ian, you want to tell them a little bit about what they can find there on the website?
Yeah, you could get your normal OG stuff. We have some Bryan Danielson merch, obviously, the appreciation shirt, as always. We have the honorary Mark shirt, of course, yep. Still the number one bestseller. However, I think we have something in the works, don't we? We've been hitting the idea board recently. Nothing yet, but that means the next T-shirt idea is going to be incredible.
Well, I will say this. Speaking of excellent T-shirt ideas, our brothers over in the Main Event Wrestling Network, the Wrestling Junkies podcast, they just came out with a shirt that says, "Support independent wrestling." Obviously, we are huge fans of indies and, all kinds of wrestling, AEW, New Japan, it doesn't matter. And speaking of independent wrestling, it was announced the other day on our X account, but we can officially say it here on the podcast. The one, the only, Trevor Outlaw will be joining the show for the very first time the week of Pro Wrestling Ventures. Ian, I'm excited for that one.
I am very excited. I am looking forward to hearing him. There's no script involved. This is a podcast, and I know for a fact Mr. Outlaw has a lot to say. He's been talked about on this podcast by various people, some slanderous, not from us, obviously.
I wasn't there, for the record. Otherwise, I would have been there defending him with you.
I got bashed, but I went
on your own show.
On my own show. It was uncontrollable. But I'm excited to talk to him, and who knows? Maybe we'll talk some wrestling of the main television. Who knows? But mostly independents.
Yeah, I know he's talking about the WWE production and how great that's been. I saw him talk about that on X. I would agree with him. That entrance that Sami Zayn got on Monday Night Raw, where they transitioned from Jey Uso to Sami all in one cut, Ian. it really gives you that new feel to the Triple H era.
It's evolving, and that's awesome because that's showing that Triple H like genuinely wants to evolve what wrestling is, and it gave a real feel to it. I mean, we literally saw that the fans could have rushed him. Honestly, there was the one fan that got shoved out of the way by Jay, so I thought it was pretty funny.
That was hilarious.
Move out of the way, dude.
That's main event Jay Uso. It's just him, Uso.
It's just him, not the other fans.
No, I don't know what that guy was doing. I think he was trying to maybe take a selfie.
Yeah.
Not the right time, not the place.
Do it off to the side, not right in front of him. I get it, you want to stop there, but like have your phone ready. Do a little quick. No, yeah, it was bad.
Quick pick. Obviously, the dude's never been there before, but yes, like I said, Trevor Outlaw will be joining us here. I think it's May 10th. It's a Monday. We'll have 2 shows that week. More information will come out about that. Just make sure you're following the show at Pot on the Mark on all of the socials so you don't miss out. But Ian, how about we get into some WWE stuff and then transition on over to Dynasty? How's that?
I love it. Love it.
Let's get into this. We found out some unfortunate news earlier this week that the women's champion, Rhea Ripley, was injured in that attack by Liv Morgan a couple weeks ago. I believe it is a shoulder injury, but unfortunately, she was forced to relinquish her title. I'm hearing various reports on the time frame that she's going to be out. I think the minimum is 3 months, which is interesting because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Seth Rollins' injury or timetable was around that same amount of time, but Seth was at least able to get to WrestleMania and perform there. So after thinking about it a little bit, I kind of understand why Rhea has to relinquish here. Ian, she has that match at WrestleMania. She retains, so at least she was able to get that moment. Still unfortunate to find out this news because, as we know, mommy is always on top.
Yeah, and you can't really look back in hindsight at the WrestleMania match and say like a what if with Becky winning if she would have won it. I mean, honestly, it was an incredible match and it was a good moment for Rhea Ripley, and she's going to keep having great WrestleMania moments. The biggest thing and my biggest takeaway from all of this is with Liv Morgan. I like what they're doing with this. They are really salvaging. I mean, let's be honest. We don't know if it's a kayfabe injury or it's a legitimate injury. I don't know. I haven't looked. It is legit. Okay. So then they're salvaging it perfectly, and it's giving the time for Liv to really. I mean, it's a sink or swim moment for Liv. If we're being honest, and so far it's sparking the social media, which is exactly what Liv is perfect at. And I mean, Rhea's promo sounded like a heel promo. Liv is starting to transition into I hurt her on purpose, so that we got 2 kind of clashing of heels at the moment with Liv kind of birthing some attitude to her character. And it's perfect because honestly, it works out either way for Liv because either the crowd's going to end up hating her, like genuinely hating her, but who knows? Maybe the crowd really starts to attach to this new Liv persona, which I think she needed.
Yeah, she definitely did. I think a lot of us, I know we were in agreement that it was a little stale, a little stagnant. We saw the same Liv Morgan kind of for the past couple years, but obviously, guys, Liv Morgan didn't intentionally injure Rhea Ripley. This stuff happens, Unfortunately, she's going to be missing some time, but it is a blessing in disguise when you think about it because a lot of times when wrestlers take some time away, what's the old saying? The absence makes the heart grow fonder. I think that's kind of the situation that you're going to get here from Rhea when she returns. She's going to be welcomed as a babyface. This is a perfect way to do the old switcheroo with Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. I mean, the story writes itself. She legitimately injured Rhea Ripley and took her out and made her drop her title. There is no other person other than Liv Morgan, at least in my opinion, I don't know how you feel about it, that should be holding that women's title.
I was just about to say it. I was just about to say it. And it, like you said, it fits perfectly because before this, we were talking about who can dethrone Rhea, and Liv got brought up into conversation, but it was never like she had a chance. But now there's a chance to put the title on Liv right away, returning Rhea going against Liv as the champion after all this feud coming through. That's beautiful. That's perfect. And I mean, in Triple H's eyes, that's long-term storytelling, which he's been falling in love with and doing perfectly. So sign me up for it.
He literally has 2 similar storylines simultaneously going on. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, real injuries, real beef, and it's going to create magic. The potential for SummerSlam is off the charts, in my opinion. I think it could be one of the biggest cards in SummerSlam history if these timelines sort of pan out. If you have a returning Rhea Ripley, you have a CM Punk. We don't know about Rock and Roman, but I still think there's enough talent for SummerSlam to be very special.
You have the U.S. title too. You still have Logan Paul with the U.S. title coming in. I mean, that's another great match we've been talking about for a long time and anticipating Logan Paul to be the champion. Maybe LA Knight. Who knows?
Yeah.
We're going to see where they go. I'm excited. WWE's been cooking, and even after Mania, it doesn't feel like a fresh new. I mean, it feels like a fresh new season, but still, they have all their pieces in place, and he's cooking.
So we know AJ. You brought up LA Knight, that AJ Styles is going to have the WrestleMania rematch with LA Knight on Friday Night SmackDown. I guess that's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Winner takes on Cody Rhodes at Backlash. Who do you see winning that one?
I think AJ needs it. Is it a straightforward match? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's a stipulation to it. It's just number one contendership match.
Yeah, I'm gonna say AJ because I think he needs it. He has a new persona that he's going for, and a little bit more. I mean, the dude is beefed up ever since he's came back. So
yeah,
let's see AJ. Let's see what he could do with it. LA Knight's still gonna have the heat.
Yeah, and I don't want LA Knight to lose another title match. He's already lost to Roman Reigns. He doesn't need to lose to Cody Rhodes. But I don't know if you knew this, but I saw in some interviews that AJ Styles was close to retirement. So maybe this is his farewell match, or at least his last shot at the world title before he, ends up walking away from professional wrestling. But regardless, if you have AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes, even though it's predictable, I still think that's going to be a phenomenal match, pun intended.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with AJ in the ring at all. So I love it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you. I got AJ Styles winning tomorrow night against LA Knight.
Yeah.
Some other stuff going on in the WWE. We saw new tag team titles. R-Truth and The Miz, Awesome Truth, were presented with shiny new gold. Out with the red straps, out with the blue. I'm assuming we won't know until tomorrow with the SmackDown titles in A-Town Down Under, but it was really nice of Tommaso Ciampa to join Adam Pearce in the ring there. R-Truth was a little confused.
I will say, I usually love those. I loved it, but it kind of got carried away for a little while. You could tell Triple H was getting a little. He's like, okay, I know. He's like, we need to move on because it did take away from those title reveals. But I mean, those titles look beautiful.
So you're a fan.
A huge fan. As soon as just a far shot of those titles look amazing. They don't look like the pennies where they're like washed out, just blue on bronze, whatever it was. I love the new titles.
The bronze belts were the worst tag team titles I think
gosh.
I've ever seen. Up there with the very first edition of the AEW women's title. That's one of the worst belts that I've ever seen. No, I agree with you. I think these titles are very nice. It's a significant upgrade in my opinion. Of course, you're going to have your people that disagree, and that's all preference. That's all taste. We all have different taste in titles, I guess you could say. But nonetheless, it's just going off of that new era feel. Out with the old, in with the new. I know we're going to keep repeating new era. They're repeating new era, but it's true. This is basically just hitting the refresh button on everything. It's a significant upgrade, like I said. And I would assume on SmackDown, do you think they're going to get a similar kind of belt design or maybe something a little different?
I could see it more going down the gimmick route because that's kind of weird saying, but like Awesome Truth feels like more of a significant tag team than A-Town Down Under. They feel like they could go more down the gimmick route with the title. I don't know what that would be, but something Hollywood-esque, Showboat-esque titles. They revealed the titles themselves. They designed it themselves. I don't know. Because they're going to need something to grow a feud right away.
You know what? Give him the spinner belt since Theory beat John Cena and say, since I beat you at WrestleMania 39, me and Grayson Waller are getting spinner tag team title.
I kind of like that, actually.
It's a douchey move. It makes sense.
I do like that.
I know it's not going to happen, people, but it would be something. And Eric, you must have just missed us. We were just talking about it. He said this feels like a chance for live to break through that glass ceiling. And we totally agree with you. Even though she did injure Rhea, it was not intentional, and they
She
can
did it
make
on
a great
purpose.
story out of it. Yeah, what a bitch. I don't mean that. That was rude. We don't need to harp on the new tag team titles too much, but there definitely is one more big thing in the WWE I want to get to before we dive into the AEW Dynasty card, and it is that main event from Sami Zayn's hometown against Chad Gable. We talked about the production, but let's talk about the match itself. First off, the energy in the building it felt like a PLE. I mean, let's be honest. It felt like a major PLE title match. Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, the story is there because Chad Gable was training Sami on the road to WrestleMania. Sami's got the title. He gives him a shot. The match itself was absolutely fantastic, which is not surprising, Ian. Sami Zayn obviously picks up the win, as we know, but what happened after the match is what got the people talking. You saw Sami embracing once again with his wife, and while he was hugging his wife, Chad Gable lifts Sami Zayn up for a suplex. It was a phenomenal turn. It got phenomenal heat. They didn't show it on TV, but the crowd was chanting, "Fuck you, Gable," after. So I would say mission accomplished here. And this goes back to what we were talking about at WrestleMania when we were giving our predictions, that Chad Gable is going to get his opportunity. I think there is so much more that comes out of Chad Gable turning heel here, losing to Sami Zayn, than would have been losing to Gunther at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, Chad Gable had the journeyman written all over his face, and he was going to chase that title, even if he won it or lost that match. I mean, he was probably going to lose that match, but even if that did happen, where does he go from there? I mean, it's just Chad Gable. We wanted him pushed, and this is perfect because it extends his lifetime in the more main event scene, being a heel alongside Sami Zayn rather than being that forced babyface. The backstage suit wearing Chad Gable, I don't know how long it'll last heat wise, but this feud between Sami Zayn and Chad Gable should easily be kind of fighting for that top position in the card.
Yeah, I mean, if you go off of their first matchup here from Monday Night Raw, that's a phenomenal way to start things. That's a 9 out of 10 kind of match right there. And now that Chad Gable's able to lean into more of a heel side, I wonder if they start to give him some heaters as well. We saw hints of potentially the Creed brothers aligning with Chad Gable, which is definitely something I'm intrigued in. I mean, it goes back to Kurt Angle days when he had his lackeys as well. I think a Gable and Creed brothers stable would be fantastic. Would you like to see that?
I'm intrigued. Because they could be kind of those body guys in the group with Chad Gable being the mouthpiece. However, I don't know if I see that kind of like a Bobby Lashley Street Profits sort of move where they don't really want to give the Creed brothers that heat, like legit heat.
I think what the difference would be here, though, in this situation is that the Creeds haven't been around long enough for them not, to not boo them.
Good point,
I feel like if they turned, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, boo! I guess we're doing that now."
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd be all in for it, like genuinely. I'd be interested to know what the crowd interaction would be, especially with the Creed brothers, because I mean, in all honesty, they look like baby faces
right now. I mean,
just on the cover, yeah.
I think they are baby faces right now, but the Creeds really haven't been featured on the road to WrestleMania, so maybe they'll get into the mix, and they're the reason that Chad Gable eventually beats Sami Zayn, because I don't know about you, I think Chad Gable is eventually going to get that Intercontinental Championship.
I think you have to, because Sami Zayn's, I mean, he had the hometown backup, and that's why he was so important in that Raw. It's going to die down at some point, because Sami Zayn really he's always been that he's going to chase the title. He's already chased the title. Guy. He's won it. So you want to see Sami Zayn struggle. So going up against a team of a faction by himself would be something interesting. Even if that includes Kevin Owens, it's still a 2-on-3.
I was just going to say that. What if you incorporate Kevin Owens into this and they kind of have, I don't know if you can find a third, if there's anybody out there that kind of has ties. Randy? Yeah. I mean, Randy and Kevin are getting along right now. That would make sense. That's something. That's got legs to it. But yeah. Mr. Cincinnati in the house with a great comment. He said, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Eric. All right, people. That's about all I have from the WWE, and unless you got something else that you want to add from Monday Night Raw.
Not a lot, no. This new era, I'm falling in love with again. I'm back on the WWE train. I did say that. I am loving. I mean, it's hard not to love what they're doing right now.
Do you love wrestling and think it's great?
Only one company at a time, though.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We can only like one company
Yes.
at a time.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, guys, let's move on to the AEW Dynasty talk. That will be happening on Sunday. And if you want to get involved into our predictions contest, the link is down below. I did not do that right. Hold on. It's bit.ly. Hold on. / We're doing this on the fly, Ian.
Fuck it. We do it live.
Watch this. Boom. bit.ly / AEW Dynasty 24. I don't know who the AEW champion is for us.
Let's call it me.
Let's not and say we do.
It's a vacant title. It's a vacant title.
There's 11 people watching right now. Somebody go to the Pot on the Mark Twitter and just type in AEW champion and something will pop up in the most recent PLE. We're going to figure this out. But for now, I say we just get into the card here. Like me and Eric talked about, and I think me and you discussed it last week. We're going to move on from everything Dynamite related from last week. Let's focus on the good stuff because, let's be honest, Ian, I think this card looks pretty solid.
Very good. I love this card. I wish it would be built up to a good card, but nope. We strive on. We have good pay-per-views in the ring, and that's about it. Not a lot.
There was a detour, I guess you could say, on the road to AEW Dynasty. The very first time they're doing this pay-per-view as well, so I'm sure they're going to want to make a statement. But we are going to talk about this match. I don't know why it's happening on the 0 hour, because it actually is a trios unification match between the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold. I would have much preferred Hook versus Jericho to be on 0 hour, but let's be honest, Tony Khan's never going to put Jericho on a pre-show of any sort. So, Ian, I'll let you go first for this one. Like I said, I believe the trios titles are being unified here. Who do you think walks away with the W on 0 hour?
I still love the idea of unifying the guns again. Both Daddy Ass and the Gun Brothers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
See, I have not. I take it this is a Collision feud that has been brewing.
It just got set up, I think, on Dynamite, but yeah, mainly it's been on Collision.
Okay, so I don't have a lot of backstory behind it. I have not been watching a lot of Collision on Saturday nights.
That's fine. Me and you both haven't been watching a lot of AEW live.
Yeah. So I'm gonna branch off the fact that Billy Gunn is going to need something new, and I'm gonna say he might turn heel here because I think the Acclaimed is starting to fall stale. They still have the titles, and I mean, on Dynamite you haven't heard from them in forever. So I don't know if that's the backstage stuff of the Collision
ever since
team.
Max Caster botched a rap and just stopped rapping, he hasn't given him a microphone. I don't think Tony trusts him.
I honestly don't know. Oh, you know what? No, I have been getting the suspicion that Max Caster might be turning heel soon.
He has been a dick on social media.
And breaking away. So Billy Gunn, I'm going to say Max Caster breaks away. Bullet Club Gold win. Maybe Max Caster joins Bullet Club Gold, but I would venture to say he goes solo. Sikoa.
Okay. So you are going with Bullet Club Gold to unify the titles.
Correct.
Okay. Eric said, I feel like Liv and Rhea at SummerSlam, maybe an ambulance match or lights out. Yeah, sign us up. I think we're in for it. And he also said on the topic of AEW, congratulations to Ruby and Cool Hands Angela. Wait, what happened with them? Do you know what happened? Congratulations. Are they a thing?
They were a legitimate thing. I didn't know.
Oh, I thought that was just a
storyline
on TV. They're actually dating?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They've been dating for a while.
Eric, please elaborate. I'm not sure what you're referring to here. I haven't been keeping up with AEW much, but to go along with what you were saying, I'm going with Bullet Club Gold as well. I think, like I said, this should be on the main card, but what are you going to do? Sorry, I don't make it. Eric Robinson, Mr. Cincinnati says, having a baby. Wow. Good for Ruby.
Good for them.
Cool Hands. Okay. Sorry, I don't keep up with who's banging who in the wrestling world. Let's move on to the main card here. Ian, we're both going with Bullet Club Gold there in that one. We're going to go from one 6-man to another 6-man. You got the TNT champion Adam Copeland teaming up with Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe to take on the House of Black. And I believe this is house rules, unless I'm thinking of the Julia Hart match. Regardless, Ian, I guess I'll go first on this one. This trio of Copeland, Kingston, and Briscoe, there's not a lot of continuity there, and it's kind of just thrown together. I think the more cohesive unit is the House of Black, obviously, and I think Malachi might be taking that TNT title from Adam Copeland down the road. I think they need to gain some momentum here. It wouldn't make much sense, in my opinion, for the good guys to win in this situation, so I'm going to go with the House of Black here. What about you?
Yeah, we've been seeing Copeland get thrown into a bunch of these trios randomly. I mean, I was just playing my GM earlier. This is exactly what I'd be doing. He was probably the specialist, so this is perfect for him. He should easily get a 4 stars, but only some people will get that. But like you said, this seems way too thrown together for it to mean anything. This is going to be, again, AEW fashion. It's going to be a great match. It's going to be a fun one to watch. But in all honesty, this is good business for House of Black if they win this. And like you said, it's a good heater for, I mean, any of the three of them. Of the House of Black to go after
too.
Brody has been incredible. He's been electric.
Eric makes a good point. Unless Malachi and Buddy leave AEW soon, there's been that talk, but we can't sit here and confirm or deny it.
Yeah,
so I'm just picking based off of their staying in AEW.
Correct. I mean, even if they did leave, that would mean Brody Lee gets elevated, and I think
not Brody Lee, R.I.P. Brody King.
Oh, not Brody King. Sorry, my apologies. R.I.P. Yeah. But yes, I'm going to go with the House of Black as well. I'm going to agree with you. I know it's not for good television here, but I will agree with you again.
Yeah, they say it's not good podcasting to always agree, but I mean, if it's right, it's right. You know, we're both trying to win the AEW title here. Speaking of that title, I'm going to introduce this match and then look it up and figure out who our champion is. Not too excited about it. Like I tweeted last night, every time Chris Jericho is on my television, I don't care. And I don't care about this match. I don't care about the build. You got Hook versus Jericho. Ian, talk to him a little bit about what you've thought about the build so far to this and who you think is going to come out on top.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I have not been a big fan of Chris Jericho as of lately. Obviously, he's been overstaying his welcome in that main scene. And he's done a lot for AEW. You cannot take that away from him. He's built so much talent. He started the company as champion, and he did a great job with that title. However, just now is not his time anymore. He needs to start backing away. I get what he's doing with Hook. He's trying to push Hook and elevate him into that next big thing in wrestling. And I think Hook is getting himself there. I don't think he needs Jericho for this. However, this feud really could have done something special. I genuinely thought that if they would have played into the Taz effect with Hook as his dad much earlier and really didn't just like throw it out there. I mean, you felt what was coming. As soon as we came out of the commercial and we saw Taz in the middle of the ring, Jericho coming out, okay, we see where this is going. Why do that? You could tease us with Taz getting involved with some backstage promos. So they could have done something incredible with this. However, I think the ultimate goal is to push Hook a little bit further.
Send Hook.
This feud's already fallen flat, so I don't think there's really anything else after this.
Dude, if Jericho wins, man, he's gonna get some heat.
Yeah, not gonna be great. So I'm gonna go with Hook here.
I agree with Mr. Cincinnati's comment. He said Hook to NXT one of these days. Fingers crossed emojis. I think the writing is on the wall, and I do think Hook in NXT would be the perfect beginning for his WWE career if he were to make that jump on over, but who knows? It's all speculation once again. But back to the match itself. This match doesn't deserve more of my time, so Hook wins. I'm dead serious. I just don't care. But I do care. Wait, go ahead.
I didn't talk about Hook going to NXT a little bit, but he would be incredible because I think the only missing piece about Hook, he's got the look. Hook and look. He's got the look. He just does not have the promos at all. And he could go in the ring. Like, he's been pretty damn good in the ring.
Let's be honest. His gimmick is Orange Cassidy at Jace.
Absolutely.
It's almost the same thing.
It is the same thing, but he's a little cooler. Yeah, his promo in the ring this past week was. He's got to work on his inflection.
Like Eric said, it kind of seems like he's checked out, and maybe that is the case, maybe not. But I do agree with you. If you go to NXT, you know he's going to be able to hone into a character, a true character, and be able to cut promos. And I know the guy hasn't been winning matches, recently in NXT, but look at a guy like Lexus King. He didn't have anything in AEW. He was just rah-rah cheerleader guy, and that was it. At least he's got a character in NXT, and I think that's similar to what Hook could be if he were to make that jump over there. But time will tell on that. Eric Douglas goes on to say, actually, Chris could help Hook because Hook walking around with a title that they don't acknowledge does nothing for him. I mean, that is true. The FTW title means nothing. Maybe.
I'm gonna pull a wild one here. I'm changing my prediction.
You're going Jericho?
I'm going Jericho to hold that FTW title, and they are going to keep going with this feud.
And they're going to trash the title, maybe?
Probably. Maybe. I kind of hope they do.
Yeah. You don't need it.
I'm going to go Jericho here. New champion.
Okay. All right.
Champion.
Let's see what you put on your form.
I will put it out.
The final.
I have my sticky note. I just scribbled it out.
Wow.
I'm going Jericho.
Ian going rogue, ? From the Wrestling Junkies. Yes.
Going crazy.
Give him his crazy pills. He's going crazy. Like I said, though, I am excited for this matchup. A lot of history here between these two as Roderick Strong, the international champion, takes on his former friend Kyle O'Reilly. Like I said, very much looking forward to the match itself, but knowing that Roderick Strong just become champion, I can't see him losing to Kyle just yet. Granted, eventually, down the road, if you told me Kyle O'Reilly is going to be the one to defeat Roderick Strong for this belt, I would say yes. But with this faction, the Undisputed Kingdom, let's be honest, it's fallen flat. They're not even shown on TV anymore. Like, we didn't see them last week, right?
Correct.
Not once.
I have your answer, though.
What?
I think Adam Cole's ring ready. And I think Adam Cole comes out, causes a distraction, or gets physically involved, and it's either a DQ, title retain, or it's just a clean win for Roderick Strong. But I think he comes out, either causes a distraction, gets involved in the ring physically somehow. I think that creates that moment, and you have the trifecta: Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, just in the ring together alone at the same exact time, all ring ready. I think that creates the buzz around the faction again.
Do you think they eventually reunite Undisputed Era with these three?
Absolutely. Yeah. Where's Bobby Fish?
Indies. I don't even think he's signed with a company.
Oof.
I think he's in hot water for something. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I don't know if there's an internal thing or what. Like I said, I don't know definites here, but you're going with Roderick Strong then?
I am. I don't know how it gets there. Actually, wait. So if it's a DQ and Kyle O'Reilly wins by DQ, that is a Kyle O'Reilly win, correct?
Yeah, but it's a retain of the championship for Roderick.
So we are predicting who the champion is.
Walks out champion.
Okay, okay, beautiful, love it.
Yeah, remember that while you are you're filling out your predictions, bit.ly/AEW Dynasty 24. You are picking the person to walk away with the title in the title matches. Can't say the same thing for the other ones, but I don't think we're going to get any weird finish with the 6-man tag or anything like that. No. So we're good there. He's swimming in TNA. All right.
Like a fish.
TNA. Yeah, Bobby
that was his joke, sorry.
Sense. Yeah, you took Eric's joke. You literally put it in the comment section. But yeah, I'm going with Roderick Strong. You're going with Roddy. We will move on here to a matchup that I actually am looking forward to. I think there is great story behind this one. It is Willow Nightingale taking on the TBS champion, Julia Hart, and this is definitely a house rules match that I know. So I would assume Sky Blue is going to be involved of some sorts in this. I assume Mercedes Moné is going to be around. Once again, I don't know if Mercedes is physically cleared to do anything. Otherwise, she probably would have been on this card, Ian. But nonetheless, who's walking out with the TBS championship?
This one, I feel like it's low-hanging fruit, but at the same time, there's so many feuds that are kind of melding into this. I mean, it's a mid-card title for the women's championship. So I will say this really quick. The women's division has been incredible recently. They have been cooking, but not a lot of people are noticing it. Like, we have so many feuds going into both titles going into tonight. So with that being said, I think this is the time for Willow to show off that title, because she's been around like on national television representing AEW. There is a lot of commitment from the company into Willow to represent. And I think this might be the perfect time to put that title. Because, I mean, Julia Hart, she's been okay. She hasn't been given a lot of chances with that title. At the same time, this would be a beautiful shakeup. I think Willow is at her peak in greatness right now and relativity.
Popularity too.
Exactly. So, and the people love her. I hope this doesn't end with Willow turning heel, because then it's just one heel to another heel. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Let's have Willow have a face run with the title and celebrate. Then somebody turns heel on her. Create something else.
I don't even think you need anybody to turn heel on Willow. You have history with Mercedes. You know, they fought, I believe, a year ago, and that's where Mercedes ended up getting hurt, and Willow took her title. I think Willow is going to defeat Julia Hart here. And I was somebody when I correctly picked Julia Hart to become the TBS champion, I believe, at the last pay-per-view. I wanted to see what she could do. And I feel like they haven't really given her a chance to wrestle much. She's involved in feuds. She's around. But it's like, all right, all I'm seeing is a scuffle. You know, she's in a lot of brawls. And it's like, can we get her in the ring? Like last night, there was that mixed tag. And obviously, Willow was taken out, so she couldn't wrestle. But Julie was just there being a cheerleader like she was at the beginning of her career.
Honestly, I kind of differ there. I think this title has done a lot for her, and the fact it's made her more of a big deal.
I'm not saying it hasn't done anything for her.
Right. No, I know what you mean. It's like every time I see her with that title, I think she looks, this could sound weird, but I think she looks good with the title. She has that look of a champion.
Aura.
Yeah. So I think this title has done a lot for her, and it's probably unlocked a lot of a potential for her in her mind. It's gained her a little bit more confidence. So honestly, this could help her in the long run. And we were saying at the beginning, she's a perfect leader of the House of Black. I think just overall, this title helped more backstage than it did on screen.
And Julia's got the character. She's got the stable where if she doesn't have the title, okay, we're still good. We got a backup plan. We got something to rely on. Willow desperately, I think, needs to capitalize on all this momentum. Put the title on her for a month. And then I'm forgetting Double or Nothing. That's the next pay-per-view. That's when you have Mercedes' first match. Mercedes probably goes over Willow, even though I think if that match were to happen, Ian, a Willow win to start could be something, but they probably would never do it.
That could turn into a really good trilogy, like a beautiful trilogy. I mean, not a lot of people. I haven't even seen the New Japan match between Willow and Mercedes, so that would be an introduction for me personally. Like, obviously, we've seen the promos, but there will be an introduction to most AEW fans, not just the marks, to that rivalry. So could end up turning into a good trilogy. Yeah,
for sure. Eric says, hear me out. This could be the Mania Type 2 main event situation where Sky comes out. Chris Statlander ends up stopping her. Then we see Britt and Jamie return to help Willow. Okay. I know Britt's close to returning. I don't think Adam is, but I've heard Britt is very close. I don't know if she's going to be involved in this title, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it would have to be at the world title, because I don't think there are any definitive...
Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I had her getting involved in that match.
Oh,
She's got history with both.
I don't blame you at all.
Oh. You remember the match with Thunder Rosa that everybody talked about that happened on St.
The Lights Out match?
Let's just talk about that. I mean, it bleeds right into what we're talking about, so I can pop up. Timeless Tony Storm, the champ, taking on Thunder Rosa. I get to go first, I think. Thunder Rosa has been doing some good stuff lately. It's not the in-ring things that I'm liking. It's actually her promo work. I think she's gotten a lot better on the mic. You know, she feels like a legitimate contender here. I would not be surprised if she won. But like we were talking about, I think Britt Baker makes her return in this match. Or after the match, she could confront Timeless Tony, just saying, I'm back, I'm here, let's go, me and you. I think that's the money match next for Tony. We're kind of just, stacking up that title resume. She just beat Deonna Purrazzo. She's still hot with the character. Toni Storm is clicking on all cylinders. Even though Thunder has looked great, I still think Timeless Tony's going to retain here, Ian. What about you?
I might differ with you here. And the only reason is I think there's more to come. I mean, if you have Thunder Rosa lose here, where does she go next? She was the champ and never got beat for that title, but she had to relinquish it. So where do you go from there? I mean, even with that Britt return, she goes after Thunder because all she really wants is that title. Britt will want that title. Toni Storm, absolutely, yes, absolutely. And I mean, Toni Storm has Mariah May. I still am looking forward to the moment Mariah May turns on Toni Storm and maybe even kicks her back into gear in the whole some new character, because the timeless is not timeless. It's going to run out at some point. It's going to fall flat at some point. Mm-hmm. So they have that to fall back on with Toni Storm. Maybe even give her some time off. That's perfect.
She has been grinding.
She has. She's been champ for quite a while now, actually, and been on TV every single week. So I think this kind of benefits Thunder more than anything. Like you said, her promo work has been better, and they're letting her get a little more loose, a little more crazy on the mic, and letting her do whatever she really wants to do. So I'm gonna go with Thunder as new champ. That might kill me, but I'm going to go Thunder News champ.
You're getting ballsy here, which I like. And usually AEW pay-per-views aren't that predictable, at least in my opinion. Eric Douglas, I agree with Eric here. He said Tony keeps the title until All In, and then a surprise return of Jamie Hayter. And then you can have Jamie Hayter take the title off of Toni Storm. The internet would absolutely love that match. So would I. So I'm going with Timeless Tony to retain. Ian is going with a new AEW Women's Champion, 2-time champion, in La Mera Mera, Thunder Rosa, who does follow me on X, by the way.
Bring back her old music. I hate her new music. It's so bad.
Like it either.
Bring back the Thunder Rosa.
That's how it was. We nailed that, guys. 1 out of 10. How did we do in the comments?
Perfect timing.
I'm very excited for this one, Ian. One of the matches you can definitely circle on the card and say that is going to be a banger, as the kids would say, as Okada, who is the Continental Champion. I hope I got that right. I guess that would make sense since it's Continental rules, whatever that means.
They have to travel overseas
too. I think it's a 20 count on the outside or something like that. That's what's different. I don't know. But nonetheless, he's taking on Pac. So happy that Pac is back because, in my opinion, Pac is one of those guys that probably should have already had a world title. At least in my opinion, I think he's worth it. Nonetheless, Ian, how excited are you for this one, and who is going to walk away as the champion?
Again, another low-hanging fruit. I'll just cut straight to the chase. I think Okada retains. It does well for the Elite. However, this is going to be an incredible match. Like you said, Pac. I'll get to Pac really quick. I think the ball kind of got rolled. He got the bad luck charm of. I mean, he had the visa issues. He's had the injury issues. So, again, I don't think if he would have been able to wrestle every single week in AEW and been on every PLE, he would have been a world champion by now. However, he got bad luck, but
this is true.
It's made every return even better. Pac is one of the crazy. Yeah, Pac is one of those guys that like a true. I'm not going to say he did better without WWE, but he benefited so much by leaving WWE. He was stuck in a spot in WWE. Like
he was Neville in WWE, Eric. Yes.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know if it's sarcasm or not. He could be being sarcastic in the comments.
He might be, but yeah, I mean, this is beneficial for Pac, and I think he's had a good birth to. I mean, genuine like regrowth of his career in AEW, and it's taught him well. This isn't the time for him to win a championship. Again, it's another moment where it's like, does it make sense for Okada to lose that championship? Who's your guy that's probably getting paid the most in AEW at the moment, if not Will Ospreay,
Mercedes,
or Mercedes too, actually.
Yeah.
Any of those three. But I don't think they lose the title here. It doesn't really make any sense to me. However, this is going to be easily could be match of the night, even with our main event.
For sure. Even with our main event, and there is another dream match happening for so-called best wrestler in the world right now that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But you know what? I'm kind of feeling like you in this match. Something tells me there's something fishy going on here. I don't really think Okada would get hurt by losing the title via shenanigans. Pac needs something. I think it'd be an interesting thing if we go back and forth with this title for a little bit. Kind of make it the Journeyman's title, the TV title, if you will. Give it to Pac. Let Okada maybe get it back in a couple weeks. And let's just make this, a series. I think we should continue with these two. I don't want this to be a one and done. So give me Pac to win. Upset. That's an upset pick.
I like it. I'm going to stay with my pick, but I don't hate that at all.
You got to go with an upset here and there, Ian. You're not going to get by just going chalk.
Oh, trust me. I have 2 of those on my match cards. So
yeah, that's true. Number one woman, she's either 12 to 15 million a year is what Eric is saying, which is a lot of money.
It's a lot of cash.
They don't call her money for nothing, I guess. So Ian's going with Okada, and I am going with Pac, which may surprise some of you. Let's move on here to everybody's favorite tag team, the Young Bucks, Nicholas and Matthew Jackson, taking on FTR in a ladder match. I like how they added that stipulation here. For me, though, this one does seem kind of obvious. I think you have to keep the heat on the EVPs, and the only way to do so is for them to have gold and, basically not defend their title ever. They have the powers to do so. So if they have those tag team titles, they win it here with a little help from someone, because I'm sure there's a lot of friends, maybe a little help from Jack Perry. Just saying, Jack Perry and the Elite seems like it could be happening on the horizon. You know what? I'm going to book that. I am locking that in. Jack Perry is the reason the Young Bucks become new AEW tag team champions. There's my official pick, Ian.
I never even thought about that. Going into this match, I saw this as a 50-50 shot. After you talking, this has turned into a 75-25 shot. And now after me thinking, it's a 90-10 shot. So, quick maths. You're right. I think I got to go with Young Bucks.
Agrees.
I was probably going to go FTR going into this. You probably shouldn't have spoke that much because I would have been wrong. I think I'm going to go Young Bucks here, because that lines up with Okada still having the title and a lot of gold within the Elite. I mean, legitimately, though, they need to get rid of the whole situation from last week. They need to get legitimate heat, not stupid heat between
cheap
two
heat.
companies. Yeah.
As like she would say, that's cheap heat, Bubba.
Yeah. So let's move on. And like you said, I like the idea of I'm not defending my title. I'm the EVP. I have the gold around my waist. I'm going to watch my guy Okada defend his title every single week.
Hey, Jack, go fight. Go fight those guys for us. That's what
I
they
like
can do.
that.
They can make him his bitch.
Bitch it. Yeah.
Ooh. Eric
like
is saying the Motor City Machine Guns don't show up, we riot. They are rumored to be signing with AEW. I know Eric's a big fan, but I think you might agree with me. I'm not a Motor City Machine Guns guy. I think they're kind of generic.
I'm not. I mean, they wrestle good.
That's their good tag team wrestlers, kind of like FTR in a way. If you really think about it.
Yeah. I'm not in love with that idea of Motor City Machine Guns. Again, I've seen them wrestle. They're very good. Very good. Just don't see where they fit in anything.
And apparently Eric says that Cash has a court date coming up. So, yeah, I don't think they... If that's true,
pull out the Glock.
We clearly need new friends. We're not going to agree on everything, Mr. Cincinnati. I know, what was the other thing that I was pissing them off about? I forgot. There's somebody I was hating on. Oh, I was hating on Kingston forever, and then I finally gave him some respect. So shout out to Eddie Kingston. I respect you. That's a t-shirt right there. Eddie Kingston, I respect you. Let's move on here to what could be the match of the year. I mean, on paper, this is the battle of two of the best wrestlers on the planet right now. The Billy Goat himself, Will Ospreay, taking on Bryan Danielson. I genuinely cannot wait. I think this match itself is worth the price of the pay-per-view. Ian, who do you think comes out on top, though?
This is a tough one. Again, it feels like one of those low-hanging fruit things, but at the same time, is Danielson, I mean, he's nearing retirement, right?
Yes,
I mean, he's within this year, I think he did say after this year he's done. I do remember him say that during a promo. So at some point, you need to get some legitimate on paper push behind him. Like he's always going to be Bryan Danielson. He's always going to have that big match feel because he's just that good. And that's what we have going into this match. But at some point, it's going to be, you can't throw another Will Ospreay at him for a first time ever match. Well, not a first time ever, but a first time match in AEW. So I feel like no, I've had 2 matches where I'm taking a shot in the dark. So I'm going to have to go Will Ospreay here. This is just for the AEW title. I would like to see Danielson win this because I think this road for Will Ospreay has been too, I guess, not kind of, predictable. Yeah, that's a good word of putting it. Maybe got to humble Ospreay a little bit. Maybe get the Don Callis family involved with this and really solidify Ospreay is absolutely done with the Callis family.
Maybe Claudio gets involved. We saw those 2 main event on AEW, and by the way, what a phenomenal main event that was too. Maybe Claudio and the BCC and everybody get involved. Your light bulb's going off over there, I think.
My light bulb just went off. Okay.
You're going to go Danielson, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Damn it. I want it. I want Bryan Danielson to win a big match.
I know. That's kind of where I'm going, but at the same time, it's like you have a returning Jon Moxley.
Champion,
you have,
by the way.
Yeah. Congrats to him, by the way. He made history, legitimate history. So that's awesome.
What, AEW, WWE, New Japan?
New Japan, first time ever. Also, I finished the audiobook by Moxley. If it's on Spotify for those that like podcasts, obviously, some of you guys might be liking podcasts if you're listening to this, maybe. I hope. But if you like long listens, go listen to Moxley's book. It's an audiobook right now. He narrates it, and it sounds like a promo the entire time for about 12 hours. It is hilarious. Anyway, I'll move on. Uh-oh.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know how accurate this is, and I'm afraid to pull it up just in case it says something bad, but somebody said there's a leaked file of Seth Rollins' new theme song by Def Rebel, who has been putting out terrible theme songs recently. No, that was a
okay.
Troll.
Okay.
Right, that was a troll job. I see. I prefaced it. I knew I was probably getting trolled.
Correct. You're right.
I heard a squeaky. Like, what the...
Comes out in rubber boots every single week now.
Okay. Who am I gonna pick? Do I pick with my heart? Because we appreciate Bryan Danielson here, and you can get yourself a Bryan Danielson appreciation shirt at the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Any code this week?
I forgot. I know I usually say it will be Dynasty. I guarantee you after this, Ian, remind me when I hit end record to go put Dynasty in there for a discount code. DYNASTY. Put that in, 10% off. But nonetheless, Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. We all know it's going to be great. But as predictable as it may seem, I'm going to go with the most predictable option, and that is...
You have to.
Will Ospreay gets the win here. And that's not me hating on Will Ospreay by any means. I am just a Bryan Danielson OG, day one with Daniel Bryan over in WWE. Will Ospreay is phenomenal. He is going to have an excellent career in AEW. I don't think he really needs to win, but he's going to win, Ian. That's just how it is.
I want to do some fantasy booking really quickly. This would absolutely piss off everybody, AEW fan-wise. They get to the ring. The Don Callis family somehow interrupts it so that this match ends halfway through a disqualification or something. Bryan Danielson has the upper hand, forces a disqualification. Bryan Danielson wins. Mm-hmm. Blackpool Combat Club comes out. Will Ospreay separates himself from Don Callis family. You have Bryan Danielson come up to Will Ospreay and say, "Hey, dude, don't worry. We're going to have this match still. I'm going to give you a good shot at this match. You're done with the Don Callis family. Let's focus on having a good match." I don't know. That's my brain. That was one of those light bulb moments.
It's a fantasy booking.
Yeah, very much fantasy. Super fantasy.
Yeah, half the stuff we say on here, guys, is probably not going to happen. Actually, probably more than half of what we say. But at the end of the day, we're marks, and we are just going off of what we want to see and what we think could potentially happen. As I'm putting in that discount code right now. When is Monday, the 22nd? That sounds right about.
Yes.
We are live. Use promo code Dynasty at the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. Thanks for reminding me, Ian. I ended up figuring it out. So we got one more match to talk about here. I'm assuming it's going to be the main event for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Samoa Joe taking on Swerve Strickland. The last match we saw, Hangman Page was involved. It was a triple threat. Samoa Joe retained. And we talked about this, Ian. I thought we had to prolong pulling the trigger on Swerve Strickland winning that AEW title. But there is no better time to pull that trigger than on your very first pay-per-view called Dynasty ever. Like, it'll go down in the annals of history that you had your first African-American World Heavyweight Champion in your company on the very first AEW Dynasty. And that's not just the only reason why Swerve should win. Swerve has earned everything that he has gotten in AEW. He has climbed the ladder and gotten over with the help of Prince Nana, but still, great storytelling, fantastic matches. And I think just the storm is, just right here. You have to have him beat Samoa Joe, in my opinion, here. That doesn't take anything away from Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe is a very credible champion. It just has to be Swerve's time. It's Swerve's house. Have him hold that title until All In. And let's just enjoy this match because I think it's going to be another fantastic match at Dynasty. Ian, what do you think for this one?
Yeah, this has running to be match of the night. I'm going to be completely honest, be completely transparent. I always do on the podcast. I was starting to fall a little flat with this whole thing. It was like, Samoa Joe, yeah, Swerve. We've been being told of that since this start of the new year. It was like, This match is going to happen at some point. Cool. These past 3 weeks, the promos, the in-ring segments of the signing. Oh my gosh. Past week, I'm invested again. This is going to be a bloody feud. I mean, Samoa Joe just showed his shine with this chase from Swerve Strickland on why he gets paid the big bucks and why he's loved by a lot of people. The dude could get anybody over, and Swerve, especially on this golden run he's been having, this has been a perfect pairing, and I love everything they've been doing about it. And Swerve's character has been really shining, and I think it's at its pinnacle. So you have to give him the title, genuinely. You said, everything you've said, it's Dynasty. It's your first African-American champion. Swerve really did start at the bottom in AEW and rose to the top. Genuinely. He was with Keith Lee. Awesome. It was a cool tag team.
That was fun.
It was a fun run. Broke off, and now we're like, what's next for the both of them? And now Swerve has made himself into this character, like a Joker-esque character. And he's undeniable. Genuinely. He's one of the definitions of undeniable. You want to see him on screen.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but kind of like a poor man's Cody Rhodes becoming undeniable to, a champion.
Yeah, a mix of Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, characteristic-wise. Just that good. Genuinely, you want to see what he says. You want to hear him. His inflection, everything about him just screams, I fought for this. It's been perfect. He's been a credible on the chase guy. Swerve Strickland, I really hope you win this title because, dude, that guy deserves it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, when me and Tuck started this podcast, we would just record right there in my kitchen. This was before you were around. We talked about how Swerve Strickland could become NXT champion, and we were just singing his praises there for what he was doing in NXT. So this is a guy that's been, at least on the OTM radar for our existence of our show, and we've been around since 2018. But nonetheless, I can't think of a better time or place for Swerve Strickland to make history. Make the right call here, Tony Khan, or whoever's booking this one. I think Swerve's got to win and finish Dynasty on a high note. WrestleMania just come off, one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time. They ended on a feel-good moment. I think it'd be great for AEW to have a feel-good moment after all the bullshit that happened this past week with Dynamite a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, I agree with you, Ian. I'm going with a new AEW World Champion in Swerve Strickland, which then that will conclude our predictions for AEW Dynasty. That show is Sunday, right? Sunday? You don't even know for sure.
I don't know. No, genuinely.
This is weird for me, guys, because he was always the AEW guy and he knew my answers.
It's
I'm not
weird.
saying I'm not, but I don't pay much attention to specifics within AEW. But we know what's happening this weekend. We know we're going to purchase it. We know we're going to enjoy professional wrestling.
Sunday.
And it should be Sunday. There you go. Thank you. And it's going to be probably a very good show.
In St. Louis, too.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that, baby. The arches. I think there was a tornado in St. Louis, though, today. So hopefully nothing serious happened there. But nonetheless, yeah, if you guys want to get involved and you can become AEW PLE or pay-per-view champion, by the way, I looked it up. We have a vacant champion for AEW. We didn't run a predictions contest last pay-per-view.
Ooh. I was going to say...
Tuck was busy.
Yep.
Tuck was busy. So Tuck was able, he reached out to me, was able to make this form. So vacant is the AEW PVV champion. bit.ly/AEW Dynasty 24 is where you can fill out your predictions. But we are at the end of the show where we have to give out the MVM. If you don't know what MVM is, the most valuable mark of the On the Mark Wrestling podcast. And the reigning champion himself, Ian, was not even active. He didn't even show up to the fight. So we have an new MVM of the On the Mark Wrestling podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Mr. Eric Douglas.
Well appreciated. I mean, he was here from the start and kept firing away questions. I mean, another runner-up would be Eric Douglas because Eric Douglas.
Eric Douglas. Hey, Eric's happy, by the way, though.
The other Eric, Eric Robinson of the Wrestling
Yes.
Junkies, definitely was probably the runner-up because I could definitely tell Chris was definitely not manning the Wrestling Junkies podcast
No.
account. That man is probably asleep right now. So, Eric Douglas, congratulations. Hopefully you retain next week as well. And hopefully you sign up for the prediction show. I'd like to see your name in there.
The more the merrier. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Ian, that Tuck said we broke a record for WrestleMania 40 on participants. I think he said we had 20.
Yeah, I think it was about 20.
So if
It's fun times. It's fun.
Let's do it. Even if you're not super into AEW, or you give the predictions to your friend. It's free to participate, and you can win a fake title from a podcast you don't even listen to. So what's better than that?
You'll get a tweet, and you are able to come into our live chat and boast about your title win.
Hell, you know what?
It's easy.
Let's have real fun here. If you win that AEW title, I'll give you a guest spot on our podcast. I'll give you a guest spot.
Ooh. What if I win?
I'll give you a guest spot.
Yeah!
You can't be a co-host, though, so I have to treat you like a guest. That's
Please do. That'd be
the
hilarious.
difference is absolutely nothing, because I would treat you the same way. Nonetheless, Ian, I'm glad we got to sit down and chat, because that got me a little bit more excited for AEW Dynasty. I actually think it will be a really good show. We will find out this Sunday. But, Ian, any last remarks before we sign off?
No, we're in a new era of WWE. I think AEW is turning the corner for their own new era, and I think after this pay-per-view, they will be in that new era. A bunch of new champions we predicted. And again, this pay-per-view will be fun, as AEW usually does. I got about probably a B rating, like a 8 out of 10 excitement for it. I'm not sure if I'll be watching live, but I will be watching back to see what happens. But yeah, this was a fun episode. I genuinely, wrestling is insane right now, and we say it every single week. It's a fun time. I heard this wrestling thing's pretty fun, so I want to keep talking about it every week with you guys.
Yeah, that's why we come back and we do this, not just because, the wrestling on the television is great, but to have you guys interacting with us. We've always wanted this to make a we thing, not an us thing. The part you guys are as equally as part of this show as we are. We engage in your conversation.
I was going to say, how boring this would be if there were no comments, live comments.
We have to do
ramble
this
like
the
idiots.
old-fashioned way. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Ian would actually have to think instead of stealing other people's ideas.
What?
I'm just kidding.
That's Erica.
Oh, fuck. You know what? Fuck off. That's what she would say.
Fuck off.
To quote Erica, who was just on the podcast a couple weeks ago. So hopefully we'll get her back on very soon. But once again, guys, don't forget, onthemarkwrestlingpodcast.com. This weekend, if you use code Dynasty, you will save 10% off your order on all of our merchandise. Don't forget to check out the Main Event Wrestling Network. We are proud members of that network at main event_net on all of the socials. Make sure you're following us there. And thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.